Hi, this is Dr. Gloria Vanderhorst, and I'm here to talk to you about boys, men, and fathers in particular.
You're watching Success, Motivation, and Inspiration, where we share interviews with incredible leaders who are crushing it in life and business.
Hey, Dr. Vanderhurst, I know you said I can call you Gloria, but I just want to make sure I'm showing respect here. For those meeting you for the first time, what inspired you to actually become a psychologist?
Oh, that's a wonderful story. I am really glad that you asked. I'll try to give you the Cliff Notes piece of it. I was a math major. I loved math. From middle school forward, I was going to be a high school math teacher. Right? That was my goal in life. I would be content if I could be a high school math teacher. And so I challenged myself to finish college in 3 years with straight A's. I was on
Wow.
track to do that as a math major. And in my junior year, I ran into a professor in Calculus 2 who faced the blackboard, filled the blackboard writing with her right hand, erased with her left hand, filled the side blackboard. You get the picture, right? She's just really talking to the blackboard, not to class. Everybody's
Yeah.
lost. I got a D in Calculus 2. I was thrilled because I didn't have to take it again.
Okay.
And then I immediately switched my major and minor so I could stay on track to graduate in the 3 year that I'd set for myself. And my minor was psychology. I took psychology because it was fun. It was, interesting and challenging, but it wasn't as tough as math was. And I have never looked back. I know that was just fate telling me that I needed to change direction. And I think that
Yeah.
happens in other people's lives as well, that you just kind of hit a wall someplace and you make a turn, and then that's the place that you were supposed to be all along. So
Yeah.
that's what got me into it.
I'm always saying how much value there is in good teachers who love kids, who love just the connection and
Mhm.
really helping bring a child into exactly what they're made to be. But also, thank you to that teacher for not really caring about the students, not really being connected, because you may have been stuck doing accounting or something now if you
I have
hadn't
been
had one bad
eternally
teacher.
grateful to that teacher because I would not have gotten there on my own. All right. I needed life to smash me in the face. And here I am. Right. I love it. I've been doing it for 50 years and I
That's
don't
amazing.
see any change ahead. I'm just going to keep doing it.
Now you've worked with you worked across all ages from preschoolers to adults. What's the biggest lesson that
Absolutely.
you've learned about human growth through that entire 50-year
I
history?
tell you that the best teachers in life are preschoolers. They are still in touch with their feelings. They're still interested in accessing the world around them, and they can be brutally honest, just very truthful and educational. So it's fun to work with preschoolers, and I learned a lot working with them and have taken what I learned from them in order to apply to how adults are functioning and what happens to us developmentally. And there are so many things that impinge on us and infect us and hurt us, but also help us. We
Yeah.
we get tossed around a lot in the course of growing up.
I've got an 8-year-old stepson, cool
Yeah,
little guy who is more in touch with his feelings than
good.
most anything else. I grew up, you act like a man, you do what you're supposed to do.
Right. Right.
It's been a big learning experience. I coached his baseball team the last couple of years here, and
Mhm.
big learning experience trying to connect with a kid that is not
Right.
that type D
Yeah.
driven
Right.
hardcore personality.
We
But
socialize our boys to eliminate feelings.
yeah,
The interesting part about boys is that they are actually born with a broader range of emotional expression than girls have, right? They can get kind of higher and more intense, more, They can get louder, they can get more intense, they can get more irritated. They can also get softer. They can get hurt in a deeper way than a girl does. So they start out with this huge range of emotions, and then we socialize them to get rid of the stuff that's on the negative end if it's soft. If it's on the negative end and it's hard, I could be mean, I can be angry, but I can't be tender, right? I can't be sad, and I definitely can't cry, right? Big boys don't cry. And that socialization robs them later on of the capability of building deeper connections. Our men die off quicker than our women do. And that's because they don't have an outlet emotionally, and emotions impact your body. They can actually make you sick,
Yeah.
right? And really hurt your innards. So, if we were to change the approach to raising boys, which is what you're in the process of doing with your
Trying to
son,
figure it out.
right? Is figuring out, how do I maintain a connection with this guy, not shame him for having the capability of being sensitive, and knowing that he can express his emotions in a way that's safe. I mean, you're providing incredible safety for this guy. And at the same time, kind of educating him about, okay, here's how the world around you is going to
Yeah.
respond to that. Here's how I can respond to it. But the world around you is going to have a different approach. You said you
Yeah.
coached baseball. Was that right?
I just coached his team the last couple of years. I knew nothing about baseball, but just trying to help them become good men. And
Uh huh.
if they win some games, cool.
Mm-hmm. That's great. But out there on the field, right, if he misses catching a ball, he can't stand there and cry,
Yeah.
right? He has to run after that ball and pick it up and throw it where it's supposed to go. So you have a challenge, but you also have a wonderful opportunity to work with a young guy who can hold on the more tender parts of his feelings. He's going to be healthier in the long run, and
Yes,
adult
ma'am.
relationships will be actually easier for him.
One thing I'm seeing a lot with younger kids now, I mean, there's such a massive lack of discipline
Mm,
in the schools. I go a couple times a week and go have lunch with him at his little school
mhm.
lunch, but it blows me away how disrespectful and rude some of these kids are, and the teachers can't do anything about the discipline side of it. Do you? And I do understand it's a good thing to be able to express yourself and express emotion and show your feelings. But do you have any suggestions for, say, maybe a teacher or a parent right now that is trying to be soft and friendly with their kid, but also get them to not act like a jerk to the other kids that are, or the
Yeah.
teachers, where the teacher's going, man, I hate teaching this dang kid.
Right. Well, nowadays you're right on target. All right. There's been a dramatic change, and the respect dynamic between children and adults, particularly in a school situation for people like me, right? Born in 1946, raised in the 60s, really. It's hard to see that change taking place. And it's not going to facilitate adult relationships either. If I can't
Yeah.
manage to interact with my peers in ways
Yeah.
that I can problem solve without getting angry and physical and violent, then I'm headed in the wrong direction for socialization, for developing a family, for actually being in part of the workforce too.
If somebody's watching this right now, say on
Mhm.
Amazon Fire TV, they've got a kid that is, say, 6, 8, 10 years old and is just blatantly disrespectful. And it's not that the kid's just having some kind of not that there's a reason, it's just a lack of discipline. What do you recommend to that parent? How do you have any suggestions on discipline or?
Well, what I would suggest is not necessarily discipline as much as connection. right? When you have a child in your own family dynamic who is belligerent and disrespectful, unless there is something physiologically wrong with that kid, all right, then we're really looking at an issue of socialization. How have they been
Yeah.
treated? And are they mirroring ways that they have been treated? Do they have emotional needs that have been neglected? And so what you're seeing is frustration because I've tried to communicate that I want attention or that I need help, and my communication has not been received. And so I have to get bigger and bigger and louder in order to have a presence. And I've got that choice. I either have to get bigger or I have to shrink.
Yeah.
Right? And most boys will choose to get bigger. Most girls will choose to shrink.
That makes a lot of
And,
sense.
and so, first, it's looking at the dynamics in the household. So, you ask a really good question. What do I do? Okay, I'm awake. I see that there's a problem here. And so, what do? I look at the history first. I look at that dynamic and figure out, is there a disconnect? Have I been missing a way of connecting with this kid? If I have not, right, then I actually am gonna look physically. Is there something physiologically going on with this boy that he cannot manage to control the range of feeling
Emotions.
states, right? So that happens for kids who are on the spectrum. That happens for kids who have attention deficit disorder, or that happens for kids who might have some other psychological disorder. Um, and so I want to do that deep dive too. I really want to figure
Okay.
out, right, is there something physiological that's leading to this? If not, then we land in the social territory. Right? And in the social territory, we can do rebuilding, we can do reshaping, and we can do repair. All right. And a kid, if we're in the social territory, needs repair along with the rebuilding.
So now, again, if somebody's watching this right now, if you're watching this on Amazon Fire TV, you've got a kid that you're dealing with that you're really trying to help them become a great adult, but you're having a hard time connecting or having them feel heard. I would really recommend pause the show, scroll down. We'll have a link here where you can get to Dr. Vanderhorst's site here, and she actually does. You do online
I
counseling,
do.
like a
Yes.
telehealth type
Yes.
session, right?
I'm happy to consult with anybody online, any place, right? And give you support, give you advice, give you direction, because these changes are possible. That's the great thing about our brains. We can
Yeah.
change at any age. All right. Every injury that you have had is packed up there. And if one of them is causing you to be belligerent, to be physical, if you can open that box, if you can unpack that injury, then you can change the behavior. And it's powerful changes that you can affect when you can do that.
Now, you said it's harder for boys to express emotion, although they feel
Absolutely.
a wider range. What happens to these boys when they grow up, when they become men, partners, and fathers, if they don't learn how to connect and express that emotion?
Okay, well, most men don't learn that, right? Let's just be truthful. Most men don't learn that. And that's why our jails are full of men. Our
Yeah.
jails are not full of women. Our jails are full of men, all right? They cost us millions upon millions of dollars. It could be well used other places, but we do not socialize men to have permission to express themselves emotionally using that full range. So when they get into a problem solving situation, whether it's at work, on the basketball court, in relationship, with your spouse, they don't have access to really describing what they're experiencing internally. And so, they kind of start, right? I'm frustrated. I'm irritated,
Yeah.
right? We got good words for kind of the negative feeling states, but I will tell you, anger, by and large, is a secondary feeling. I feel something else first. And if I can't find that, if all I can express is irritation, anger, being pissed, being frustrated, if I keep punching on those feeling states, then my body is going to get bigger. It's just natural, right? I'm going to try to take up more space. And if I take up more space and I invade your space, right? We all know we live in this kind of imaginary bubble, right?
Yep.
That, is shorter in the back, bigger in the front. So I don't want you invading my space, right? But you're a guy, you're frustrated, you're getting angry. You can't express it in any other way than being physical. You're going to come into my space. You're definitely going to invade my space. And when you invade my space, it's so easy to be physical, right? It's so easy to push, to bump, to slap, to hit. And then there's an explosion, and the neighbor next door calls the police, or you call the police,
Yep.
right? And suddenly, the opportunity that you were looking for, because I believe you were genuinely looking for an opportunity to describe something powerful that you were feeling, right? Maybe you got turned down for some kind of a promotion at work. Maybe somebody irritated you on the highway and you're just kind of fed up with these guys that are going fast and moving in and out of traffic, but you don't have the feeling words to describe what you experienced in your body, right? You
Well,
can't say I felt diminished or demoralized when this guy cut me off. You just say I felt pissed,
yep.
right?
Well, and that's the thing too. Men who grew up in the man's man kind of a thing. I am not going to tell somebody, well, I feel like that person didn't respect me when they cut me off. Going, this
Yeah,
jerk cut me off. And that's the natural feeling to go, to deal with that handle it like a man. And a lot of us grew up, you don't talk about your feelings.
you
Boys
don't.
don't cry, all that kind of stuff. But
You don't.
it's
All right.
cool
You
seeing
guys
what,
develop ulcers, heart
yep.
disease, all right, tumors, you drink too much, you smoke too much, all right, all kinds of body things happen to
Yeah.
guys, and you die younger. Not
That's a
necessary.
cool thing that I see interviewing. I'm interviewing everywhere from multi-millionaire, multi-billionaire, big dog folks who are crushing it in life and business. And a big thing that I see, typically the difference between successful men, extremely successful,
Mhm.
versus just the average guy who's going through the normal problems that most of us do, is the folks who are crushing it, especially men, have figured out somehow how to deal with that emotion, how to become better communicators, how to lead people better, be able to share those feelings, but still in a way that's not emasculating or making them feel soft or weak. See, a lot of these guys are
Mhm.
super great leaders, but they're able to say, "Man, that wasn't right. I don't appreciate the way you just spoke to me."
Mhm.
Instead of having to say, "Well, it really made me really hurt my feelings when you said that." Do you think is there a way to still speak like a man and still express those emotions?
I think that what you have just identified, um, is like a cancer, right? Because you have just labeled a range of emotions as non-masculine, as though they were female, right?
Oh,
As
yeah.
though they're not human. But honestly, we're born with access to the full range of emotions. They are all human emotions. And so the tough task is educating us on the fact that all of us need to have access to the full range of emotions. We know factually that we are healthier people if we have relationships with other people. All right. Heart disease is less in people that are active socially. Conversations with other people can protect you from developing things like diabetes or certain kinds of cancer. I mean,
Yeah.
think of that. The impact of connection for human beings is truly powerful. And we train you guys not to connect. And when
Yeah.
you do connect, when you're allowed to connect, it's typically is around sports or around work. So it's problem solving things at work or it's
Yeah.
talking about sports. But you are hard pressed to find guys who are being transparent about their sense of self or their disappointment or frustration in
Yeah.
their intimate relationship, their lack of love and attention. There are some men's groups developing over the United States that are facilitating men making a deeper dive into emotional territory. And those are very positive influences, but we have so stripped away the access to the full range of emotions that we create the problems that we don't like, right?
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Now, so many dads are expected to guide their children emotionally, but we're never really taught how.
right.
How can a father start learning that skill today?
Yeah, read. All right. There are good books. Go to the library, go to a bookstore, go to Amazon and look for books about fathers. And you will find a ton of them nowadays. There are people who are developing processes for helping you. And the book that I've published recently can be a great tool for guys to tap into the full range of emotional expression. And the reason that this book is effective is called Read, Reflect, Respond, the 3 R's of growth and change. The reason that it is effective is that it's got an essay on one page, could be a story about anything, and the facing page is blank. There's a good reason that the facing page is blank. Most journal books have lines you're expected to write a reaction to what you've
Okay.
read on the previous page. This is blank because your brain holds information, valuable information, in terms of action, pictures, and language. If you can only access the language, you're missing 2/3 of what your brain can provide for you. So this page is blank. It has a couple of stimulating questions on it, but the page is blank because if the essay has raised intensity in you, you don't have to write. You could just scribble, right? You could just take that pen and do this. You could take the
Okay.
page and tear it in half if you wanted to. You'll have to put it back together to read the essay on the other side, but that's okay too. So you can draw, you can scribble, you can put out information that you couldn't access in any other way. And that's just mind blowing to see how your brain has reacted to this little story on the other page, and then to make a deeper dive into why did that bring up anger for me? Or why did that bring up kind of this lazy, just scrolling around, right? And so I'm going to fall off the edge of the world. It's important. The other thing that I do for men is that I have a list of feeling words. And it's 3 pages long, 4 columns on each page. All right. That's a lot of words. They're all
Yeah.
feeling words. The brilliant thing about your brain is that your brain has been trained not to produce a certain range of feelings. So if, you're hot and bothered when you come home from work and I ask you what's wrong, you'll just say I'm pissed. But if I put this list of feeling words in front of you and I don't ask you, right, what's wrong, I just say, run through that, see what pops out. All right. There will be genuine, truthful, insightful feelings that will just jump off the page. All right. And it'll be maybe it's, I'm demoralized. Well, wow. Right. That never would have come out of your brain. You wouldn't have accessed that unless it popped off the page. And when it
Yeah.
pops off the page, you can talk about it, but you couldn't find it otherwise. That's the brilliance of your brain. Your brain never
Yeah.
loses anything. So even though we have trained you not to access the feelings, they're still there. And your brain knows exactly what they feel like. So your brain is never going to lie to you. If
Yeah.
you just read through that list, the feeling experience you're having is definitely going to pop off the page.
Pause the show, scroll down, click the link, go to Amazon and buy a copy of this book. If you get the paperback, that's something, the paperback copy you could actually open up, have those words circled, have that, whether you take a picture of it or just have it laying there on your desk with a bookmark in it. Might be a good thing that would be easier to reference instead of buying the Kindle version that you're going to have to try to scroll through your phone or
Right.
tablet.
Yeah,
and
it's
figure out what
easier
you're
to
looking for.
do the paperback because you need to be able to get a piece of paper and write, draw, scribble, have a real reaction to the essay.
Now, you're trained in emotion-focused therapy and also internal family systems.
Right.
How do these models help people heal and grow, and how do you implement them? Is that something you could do
Yeah,
via your
these are
remote
these
training
are
as well?
fabulous insights into how the brain works and how we are organized socially and emotionally. We know now that we can access absolutely any feeling state. We come into the world with access and understanding of every possible feeling. All right. We're designed that way, which is lucky for us, right? It's really healthy that we're designed that way. We socialize so that we don't use it. And that was adaptive. I do want to say that. That was truly adaptive. If you think about a caveman, I do not want him shy. Right? I do not want
Yeah.
him worried. I do not want him crying when he picks up his
Yeah.
spear, right? I want him brave and strong and ready to go out and bring home some food. So it's
Yeah, that makes sense.
very adaptive. But you have to ask yourself at this point in the evolution of man, is it still really adaptive? Or does it lead us to spending billions of dollars to house men that just didn't have access to being able to express their feelings? And so they
Yeah.
use their bodies, their fists, their weapons instead.
And that again is something, the difference between your average person and people who are extremely successful, not only making money, but also leading people and, leading big teams and stuff. I've got quite a few guys that I've interviewed that are special forces, the
Mhm,
military special forces, top dog,
mhm,
just tough guys
mm,
that have also, that they're now very successful, but they've learned to, again, connect and communicate and express those emotions. Doesn't mean they're not a man. That's still, guy could still kill you with the spoon he's sitting
right.
across the
That's right.
eating with, but yeah, it's just cool seeing, to get to that next level financially and with relationships, they've had to learn these skills that you're teaching.
Yeah,
Now,
but those men, if you dig into the not just the histories, but the outcomes, a lot of those men have actually taken their own lives. Yeah, more recently, Nolan Williams, who you would think would be absolutely the last person on earth to take his own life because he is studying emotion, right? He is successful at helping people recover from depression and anxiety, right? He's famous for his work in psychology and he kills himself. Just shocker. I'm going to go at it again, all right? It's because we train men not to express their feelings. So even a guy who's in a profession where that's exactly what he's working on, facilitating everybody else to express their feelings, could not express his own.
Well, I hadn't heard his story. I'll have to check that out after the interview here. But
Yeah, definitely. It's tragic.
what's one practical step that someone could take this week to become more emotionally aware? And also, is that something they can get from your book?
Yeah, but one practical step is to buy the book and start playing through it, right? And you don't have to go through it from beginning to end. You can start any place, you can jump around, but that's one thing. The second thing is to sit down and with yourself or with a friend, just be able to say, I'm pretty boxed up, right? I'm pretty confined. I don't have access to or talk about my feelings with any frequency. And so, if you would just sit here with me for 15 minutes, half an hour, and help me to access feelings that I've experienced in the last week, that'd be a really good start for me. Find a friend,
Powerful.
right? Find somebody who is willing to start that journey with you.
Now, I'd like to call out some of the men that are listening to this. Actually, we've got a lot of our audience are incredibly successful men's men, the leaders, not soft, not weak.
Mhm.
How uncomfortable. Now, imagine this. If you're a man watching this right now, like me, that has a hard time connecting, communicating the feeling side of it and not feeling like a sissy or weak or soft or somebody's going to tease you about it. Be a man, step up, do exactly what she just told you to do. Get over yourself and have that call where you can sit down and, oh, man, this is uncomfortable. You can even tell your buddy, listen, I feel like a complete sissy saying this. This is so uncomfortable, but would you mind letting me just share my feelings here? I need to open up to somebody. I love that advice. And also, if you're a man, if you're a real man, if you're a real leader, take that advice and step out and do something uncomfortable and share your feelings.
And I would say one other thing too. Men who are having physical problems, all right? You have an ulcer, all right? You're having heart trouble, all right? You're overweight, you're easily exhausted. All of those have an emotional root someplace. So be willing to go digging and figure out what your body is trying to get you to pay attention to, right? Your body is just announcing, announcing, announcing. Pay attention, figure this out and take it seriously. Figure out what's your body telling you.
This interview is sponsored by Newswire magazine. We celebrate the entrepreneurs and thought leaders shaping the future, those who don't just adapt, but innovate, who inspire others to think bigger, lead boldly, and create lasting change. Only a select few are featured in Newswire magazine, and for those who earn a place on the cover, the opportunities are unmatched. Your story shared with a global audience, your achievements celebrated on national billboards, reaching millions. Every leader has a story. Every vision deserves a platform. Who will rise to the top? Stay tuned. You're witnessing greatness unfold.
Hey, welcome back to Success, Motivation, and Inspiration. We're on today with Dr. Gloria Vanderhorst. I am so glad to have you on the show, and you have really been kind of kicking my butt during this interview. A lot of the things that I thought were fundamental beliefs, I'm like, man, I really could soften up a little bit. And I thanks for calling me out and making it a little bit uncomfortable so I can look into myself and see that I need to make some changes as well.
That's what I do, Curtis. I'm here to help everybody grow. It's
Now,
my
let's
job.
talk about sorry, what's that?
It's just my job.
Let's talk about your book, Read, Reflect, Respond. What makes it different from traditional self-help books?
So a traditional journal book will have some stories, it'll have some questions, it will want you to respond. It'll want you to respond by writing language, right? We have so much more that we store in ways that are not words. We store in pictures. I'm a great picture storage person. That's my favorite way. That's my brain just does that naturally is I store everything in pictures. And I'll give you a crazy example of the truth about what your brain holds on to. When I taught college, the first day I would make sure that I put names to faces. So we would go around the room, right? And somebody would introduce themselves, tell me something about them so that I could hang their name onto their story because
You
I'm
mean
not
mentally?
really good at auditory stuff, right? I need pictures. So if they tell a little story, I can hang their name onto the picture. And then a couple years ago, I had to have surgery. The interesting thing about anesthesia and recovering from anesthesia is that it messes with your brain, right? It just screws up your brain. And so the day after surgery, going to sleep, guess what pops into my head?
What's that?
Reel upon reel upon reel of pictures of these kids, their stories, their names. It was just like one movie after another of just going through this, right? Now, those pictures and names were packed into my head years ago.
Yeah.
It was a shocker to experience that stuff is still up there. Right? And so everything that we have experienced or interacted with is up there. We just have to find the avenue to connect to it. In fact, we know that infants start building memories the last trimester in utero. So there's also data
Wow.
up there from the last trimester in utero. So, when mama puts the headphones on her belly and plays music for this baby, that memory is up there. When papa pats mama's belly and feels that foot moving, that memory is up there. Our brains hold on to everything. It's an incredible organ.
For couples or families that are watching this right now, what's one small change that can strengthen their connection today?
I give this advice to couples in the beginning all the time is take 15 to 20 minutes, find it someplace in your day. Maybe it's the first 20 minutes after you wake up. Maybe it's the cup of coffee after you've had dinner. Find 15, 20 minutes in the course of your day and sit down facing each other. Now, there's a reason to face each other. And that is that over 90% of communication is nonverbal. So if I'm facing you as I am now, right, I get tons of information about who you are, how you're receiving what I'm saying, just tons of information that will either encourage me, right, to kind of move closer to you, want more of you, or will discourage me. So sit down facing each other, spend 20 minutes, and I honestly don't care what you talk about. Right? I'll give you some ideas if you need some ideas, but I honestly don't care what you talk about because the sharing and the reading of the body information is the part that's powerful. So I start there. And you probably won't be shocked or surprised, but the majority of couples today in this world, particularly if they have children, they don't have time to sit down. Families are not sitting down and eating dinner together the way
Yeah.
they did when I was a kid. They are busy taking this one to soccer, That went to baseball, this one to dance, right? They don't see each other. They don't eat together. They don't see each other. They don't make specific time to talk to each other.
Yeah.
So, we lose connection if we don't have opportunity to sit face to face. Now, if you're talking about a kid sharing something or wanting your kid to tell you more, put them in the car, all right? Because
Yep.
they can't face you, right? As long as they're facing forward, they are much more comfortable to talk and to share what they're experiencing than if they're facing you. Because if they're facing you, they're reading your body,
Yep.
right? And your body's
Yeah, it shuts down
reacting
that.
to everything they're saying, and that's going to shut them down, right? But put them in the car and you'll have great conversations. If you put them in the car, go someplace, take a long ride.
So now the stuff that you're sharing right now is exactly the same things that I've figured out in our own relationship, where me and my wife in the morning, we get up 5 days a week. We take Remington. We'll go to the rec center here. The two of us work out upstairs, get a good
Hmm.
weightlifting and a little cardio in. Remington gets to play basketball down
Right.
below. We'll come down and play some basketball with him. But just that time connecting there has been a huge thing. Another
It's
one
huge.
is intentionally sitting down, or not sitting down, but intentionally come home instead of just a quick hug, peck on the cheek, or she's leaving,
Hmm.
grab her, hold her for 30 seconds where it's almost
Right.
uncomfortable staring at each other. And the first few times we're like, okay, this is 8 seconds, 9 seconds. This is weird. But now we'll just, a lot of times, and I'm thinking, okay, this has been way too long. This is weird. And so I let go and she'll still pull me in and
Right.
going, okay, this is,
Yeah,
but it's
and
cool just taking that time
that
uncomfortable.
physical touch, your body keeps the score, right?
Yeah.
That physical touch is very healing and accepting. All right. And if you
Yes,
think
ma'am.
about it, we have very few opportunities to experience acceptance in the course of our days. If you're an infant, you get to experience that because your skin is touched all the time, right? And you're
Yeah.
held by others all the time. But when you're an adult, we've lost that. To have that face to face, full body embrace with another person is healing and it's accepting. It's beautiful.
What gives you hope when you look at the next generation of parents?
Ooh, that's a tough one, right? Because there is hope, but there is also real disappointment, right? Our city just recently put in a curfew for adolescents because they were running, crashing, robbing, right, disrupting. So now they have to be inside by 11, I think, is the curfew. So what gives me hope is that my niece, who is in a much younger generation, bought my book and was shocked at how helpful it was. We all long to be connected with other people, to be in relationship, to have connection, to be healthier emotionally. And that gives me hope that we long to be connected and to understand each other. And when we work at it, it actually happens just as you did in your marriage relationship. You decided, let's just work at it. And it isn't a lot that you have to add in order to get a big bonus.
What final piece of advice would you give to anyone that's watching right now who wants to break old emotional patterns and grow in their best self?
Take yourself seriously, take the risk. The hardest thing for a male to do is to take the risk of putting himself into a vulnerable position. If I have a second, I would just tell you this male history. I had a client who was a performing professional in front of people constantly, right? But constantly also getting sick, going to the doctor, there is nothing wrong with you. All right. We've done every test in the world. There is nothing wrong with you. Again, getting sick. The last one was collapse on the floor, ambulance to the hospital, thought there was some kind of internal gastro thing strangling him. Nothing. All right. And his physician finally said, okay, I'm sending you to Gloria. You have no choice. All right. You have to make an
Wow.
appointment. All right. There's nothing physically wrong with this guy at all. It is all emotion showing up in physical ways. So Bessel van der Kolk's book, The Body Keeps the Score, is the truth. If you can't talk about it, your body is going to hold it. So my advice to every guy, all right, is if you have not taken yourself seriously and done a deeper dive into what your feeling states are and how they impact who you are and how you show up in the world, go take a deeper dive.
Thanks for watching Success, Motivation, and Inspiration. This episode was designed to help you level up. See you next time.